Hi everyone, I am Junren Omakasa from BSET Sciences, and for today's video we are going to discuss selecting and constructing test items and tasks. Actually, this is only a continuation from Miss Lim's report under Chapter 8. So without further ado, let us now start. Lower order thinking skills. This involves memorization, emphasizes the recall of specific and universal methods, processes, structures, and settings. So under lower order thinking skills, students just memorize or they are just being asked by simple comprehension about the task or about the previous topic to recall a specific lesson. So in higher order thinking skills, it is more advanced and requires knowledge of subject matter, requires deeper thinking processes. Since higher order requires a critical analysis, so the students would be able to analyze deeply and look closer and deep and have a deep understanding with regards to the topic, so that he has something to answer during the test. So in box 8.1, constructed response type, it is either a short I answer item and extended essay. In lower order, example, according to the article you just read, what factors contribute to climate change? It is all short answer supply type. In higher order, example, write an article on how the government and the community can work together to mitigate the factors causing environmental damage. So likewise, it is under supply type, but since it requires higher order thinking at the creating level, it will call for an extended essay item. So that's the difference between the lower order and higher order. In box 8.2, selected response type, from the word selected itself. So it is multiple choice. In a lower order example, according to the article you just read, what contributes powerfully to climate change? Either A, volcano eruption, B, population explosion, C, forest denudation, D, carbon emission rather. So the students will choose the right option of what he or she thinks that will best answer about from the question being asked. So that is the selected response type. In higher order, on the other hand, which of the following factors which affect climate change can be controlled by man? So the options are A, strong earthquake, B, volcanic eruption, C, melting of glaciers, and D, carbon dioxide emissions. So it really requires a deep analysis. It requires analysis in a higher order. So according to Miller, Lin, and Grondon in 2009, presents categories of thought questions for deep understanding, and that is why in under higher order thinking. So in table 8.6, complex thinking skills, there are types of thought questions, comparing, and in sample item stems, there are clue phrases that will fall under comparing. So one is describe the similarities between, compare the following two methods for. The students will be able to compare the two things or the situations and have a look closer or a deep understanding on how to analyze the particular situation or the particular phenomena. And relating cause and effect, of course, the cause and effect. What major causes of, what would be the most likely effects of, and the students would identify or would determine the cause and effect of some about the situation or the given scenario. So justifying. Which of the following alternatives would you favor? Why? Explain why you agree or disagree with the following statement. So you tested the idea or the ability of the students to justify or about his or her stand with regards to the following situation. So summarizing, state the main points included in, briefly summarize the contents of. So the students will be able to summarize the previous lessons or to test if he or she really pays attention during the discussion. Generalizing. Formulate several generalizations from the following data. State a set of principles that can explain the following events. So there would be a generalization that would be included during the test or in preparing a test. Inferring. In light of the facts presented, what is most likely to happen when and how would Senator X be likely to react to the following issue? You are challenging the you challenge the students to create an inference or the outcome with regards to the situation or the question that are being asked. So explaining, why did the candle go out shortly after it was covered by a jar? Explain what the president meant when he said the buck stops with me. So you are going to ask the students to explain so that it will also ignite and it will also shape their mental ability to in reasoning rather. And then persuading. Write a letter to the principal to get approval for a class field trip to the state capital. So you challenge the students to persuade, to attract by the use of reasoning. Classifying. Group the following items according to what do the following items have in common. So classifying, that the students will be able to classify things that you have to identify. So creating, list as many ways as you can think of for and make up story describing what would happen if. So the students would engage in creating a particular example in letter or in a story. They will create, and through to that they will use their ideas with regards to in creating in making stories. And then applying a principle, using the principle of as a guide. Describe how would you solve the following problem situations. Describe a situation that illustrates the principle. So the students would be must familiar with the principles being used or being tackled during the discussion. And then in a performance task in the case of letter writing, producing a plan, and story writing, likewise assess high-level learning outcomes involving complex thought process. So there are so many ways in assessing the performance of students, of course. And then, according to Angelo and Cross in 1993, have extensively designed classroom assessment tasks or CATs, and in college level, it is performance-based type in nature. So, in table 8.7 examples of performance assessment tasks for advanced level is that in thinking skills, you have the analyzation, the evaluation. So an analyze or the under the performance task, analytic memos, writing 1 or 2 page analysis of a specific problem or issue. You are going to analyze the specific problem and you will create an analysis for it from it. And then pros and cons grid, making a list of pros and cons of a decision made, and then the advantage or the disadvantage of the decision being made. The content, form, and function outline, analyzing the what, how, and why of the particular message of an advertisement or commercial. Next is evaluate. One is bodyist point, identifying what students find least clear in a lesson story and demonstration. So the students will evaluate, and you are as a teacher, you are going to evaluate their works also. And then in create, a misconception check, assessing students' prior belief that can hinder learning. Empty outline, recalling and organizing the important points of a lecture or reading. So under in create, application cards, of course there would be an involving performance. So application cards, designing an application of a learned scientific principle or procedure in real world. And number 2, directed paraphrasing, translating what has been learned in one's own words or form for a specific audience. You are letting the students to paraphrase, and you are letting students to translate something out of the original output. Or in number 3, paper or project prospectus, writing a first structured draft of a paper or project. In constructing objective supply type of items, items type under supply type require the learner to construct a response to a question or directive. Always remember that response is the answer of by the children, and in stimulus is the questions given by the teacher. And completion type, the 8.8 table illustrates the usual item structure for completion. In item structure consists of stimulus, which defines the question or problem. So the question or problem are belongs to the item structure. And then in a response defines what is to be provided or constructed by the learner. The learner will be the one to respond from the given question by the teacher. So look at the example or look at the image that is being flashed on screen. In completion type structure example is a four-sided polygon is called blank. So that is what our stimulus, incomplete statement with a blank. And then a response, the answer is either a single word or two or numeral, symbol or phrase. Number 2, the novel No Limitang Hero was written by Dr. Jose Rizal during the blank colonial period. The answer is Spanish. So it is a incomplete statement, so that the students have to fill in the blank. So gap filling is another term for this variant, as the student fills several gaps in a discourse depending on the target outcome rather. So provide synonyms for the target words in a paragraph, or like what I have said earlier, that the students have to fill in the blanks and provide the right answer after the on the blank rather that was being asked. And then therefore there should only be one correct response to complete the statement. Always remember that it also contributes to efficiency in scoring. Proper wording of incomplete statement is really necessary. Use proper words. Do not eliminate those unnecessary words that will contradict or that will trigger the answer of the students. So letter B, the blank should be placed at the end or towards the end of the incomplete statement. Provide the reader appropriate and adequate context before he or she gets to answer. Avoid being perplexed. So the students or as a teacher, while making us a task, that you should avoid preparing perplexed statements or perplexed questions that will give difficulties to students in comprehension, especially to the beginners. But also, during blank period, Dr. Jose Rizal wrote the novel No Limitang Hero. So you should write questions that are not perplexed or that are not arduous in terms of the comprehension of the students. And letter C, avoid providing unintended clues to the correct answer. This happens when a student who doesn't know the answer would find one by using unintended grammatical clues. Example, the presence of indefinite articles a or an before the blank to suggest a response that starts with a vowel. So we have to avoid using those unintended clues, especially while preparing and selecting or constructing items and tasks if we're going to evaluate the student's assessment. So short answer items, instead of supplying words to complete statements, relatively short answers are constructed as direct answers to questions. Example, in short answer item structure, a stimulus, an interrogative statement. While with the interrogative statement, it ends with a question mark. And response, short phrases or statement that would be the response of the students or their answers. Example, number 1, what is a four-sided polygon called? So the students will reply that the answer is quadrilateral. And letter B, during what period was No Limitang Hero written by Dr. Jose Rizal? And the students will answer that it was during Spanish period. So letter C, how much does a book trader gain for a book he sells for P100 pesos if he gets 30% more than what he pays for it? And the students will answer 45 pesos. So that the interaction of the students and the teacher, in terms of the stimulus and the response, the teacher will ask a question and the student will answer it. And writing short answer follows, guidelines by Macmillan in 2007. Start the item so that only one answer is correct. 2, state the item so that the required answer is brief. Do not use questions verbatim for from textbooks and other instructional materials. And 4, designate units required for the answer. And 5, state the item succinctly with words students understand. Next is constructing non-objective supply type. Constructing non-objective, of course. Here, number 1 is essay type. Belongs to the supply category for the simple reason that the required response is to be fully constructed by the students. The students will be able to construct the essay, and you are letting them to create an essay or to make an essay to expand or to elaborate something. Students are free to organize the response. You will give a freedom to students while they are writing an essay. The students have the freedom to organize, to write, or it depends on their techniques, especially in our essay type of the examination or a task. So always remember that there are 2 variations of essay items. 1, restricted response, and 2, extended response. In table 8.10 essay item structure, the stimulus and response. If example number 1, a letter A, incomplete statement with a blanks, single word or 2 normal symbols or phrase. Okay, incomplete statement like and fill in the blanks. Letter B, a directive or instructions. In response, as a response of the students, it is a set of related statements, discourse or paragraph, a directive or instruction, so that the students will be able to construct or create a discourse or paragraph that will also answer the questions given by the teacher. And then, in types of essay, like what I have said earlier, that restricted or response type, the question or directive given suggests a specification in constructing the response. So illustrative items from the left, and on the right side, a description of respective response. And number 1, restricted content. What is a famous tourism spot in the island of Luzon, and why is it popular? So, as a restricted content, tourism spot to be described should be one found in Luzon. Outside of Luzon will not be considered, since our main point is only in Luzon. So your point is your focus will only there in Luzon and not on the other part of the country. In restricted length, like on half sheet of paper, describe the benefits of the environment from Samaha Kabataan as an organization. So length of discourse should not exceed half sheet of a writing pad, since the direction is about half sheet paper. If beyond that is not to considered. Restricted form. Prepare a 2-tier outline plan for community involvement in waste reduction and disposal. So the response should be organized in 2-tier outline form. In number 4, restrictive perspective. Describe the origin of man according to the theory of evolution. And the response would be acceptable when the explanation adheres to the theory of evolution. The response is acceptable if it adheres to the theory of evolution. If the point is all about the theory of evolution and not the other theories. Explanations based on other theories will not be considered. I hope that is clear. In extended response type, the question or directive doesn't suggest any form of restriction in the construction of the response. Students are free to organize. So like what I have said earlier, there is the differences between the what is called the response type. Another response type is the extended response type. So the students are free to organize. So you will let the students to organize, to write something that they will also use their minds and their ideas. That's critical thinking skills. And then sample items explain how the prevailing socioeconomic issues affect lives of the people in our country today. So in description of expected response, student is free to focus on any socio-economic issue and choose which aspects of the people's lives he wants to describe. You should not act as a hinder, especially in making extended response type of the students, because they are free. Students are free to create essays. And then to what evidences of climate change do you now observe and what ways can mitigate their negative effects? Students vary in their choice of evidence and their approach to address them, of course. So the students, there are diverse students have a diverse ideas as well, and you will let them think it, and you will letting them to write the essay, the whole essay as well, the response, and because in extended response type, students are given freedom. They are free to organize. So any techniques that you wanted to use is that they are free. So the teacher should act as a facilitator. The teacher should only be the facilitating the learners and assessing their what we call this one, their um, output or the outcome. So I think that is clear for us. So from throughout the report, my classmate have also the continuation with regards to this selecting and constructing items and task report. So see you. Thank you.